Oh, sick, dude. Yeah, come on in.
How's it going?
Good, man. Glad you're here. Welcome to the nursery.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, man, this is a sweet spot. So, yeah, so welcome. Yeah, let me just show you around a little bit since it's your first time here. You know, I want you to get a sense of what we're doing. Yeah, let's start this way. So as you can see, we have, we've made a bunch of different gardens, which don't worry, we're going to walk through all of them. And, I've essentially decided, well, I know I'm going to probably put a house there, and I knew there were other places where I wasn't going to put a house just based on the layout and the, elevation and all that. And so we've decided until we build a house, we'll just keep making gardens. And along the way, actually, we started planting so many different things that I told Alberto, who's been working with me the whole time, I was like, we've got so many things that we're going to start bagging it up, and it just one thing led to the next, and we started to have extra ground plants and agaves and all these different plants that we were able to sort of keep to the side for future use. And a lot of them would make babies, right? They would make hijos, and they would sort of proliferate themselves. And so we would bag them up, and we ended up having so many, I was like, dude, let's just start a nursery. And so where you're standing right now is actually the nursery. And, of course, if you want to pan around, anybody who's watching and listening, you can pan around and you can see, we've got, here they call them Miami palms, Palmera Miami, but really they're Christmas tree palms. These are awesome. And we have these are little limonarias kind of poking through. They're actually really good for around the property, and people really like them. I guess apparently the cows don't eat them, so that's good. And we've got other types of palms here. These are different like trees we have through here. These are some shade plants actually, but yeah, we've got we just one thing led to the next, and we ended up basically with a plant nursery. And we've got hibiscus, and these are Malinches. These are, I think they're super cool. They get really tall, and the leaves just sort of go straight down. Again, different fruit trees. We've even got, for anybody who wants the hot peppers, we've got some hot peppers here, and oregano, and different mangoes, and of course your coconut trees. Right here we've got, they call them Crotons or Crotons in English, Crotos in Spanish. And this one actually is, they call it the crown of Christ without thorns. And that's because there's a crown of Christ with thorns, and we'll take a look at it later. But yeah, this is a variety of Croto. They call this stuff the Lengua de Suegra, or stepmother tongue. And so, apparently a lot of people say for inside the house, it's really good for filtering air and stuff. So, but we've just kind of planted it all over the place just to see what happens. Some ginger, they call it ginger or ginger. It's not the ginger you eat, but you see this cool little flower that it gets. They grow out and spread kind of like a bird of paradise, which we've got over here. I'll show you all that too as we cruise around. But different sort of herbs here, rosemary and basil, and I know you were saying this is one of your favorites, the coxcomb. They call that here disciplina. That's the word a lot of people use for this, but it's a coxcomb. I think it's associated with romance, but it's kind of like a brain coral, honestly, if you look at it. But these are the blue agaves. Those are super cool. And so, again, you got all sorts. Of course, you got your aloes. We got our ground plants. These are actually decorative pineapples, believe it or not. So you don't, it's this little thing will become a pineapple about this size, and it'll sit there. It's just decorative though. You don't make smoothies, or you don't eat it basically. You got your Bougainvilleas, and we've actually, as we walk around, you'll be able to see if you pan around. We've lined the whole property with Bougainvillea. One, it's beautiful, and two, it's got these really, really crazy thorns on it. We'll have to look on as we walk around. But it's good security too. It keeps the cows away and others. And then these are isoras. These are just a number of different colors, some really cool ground plants. And again, we've got more sort of cactus or agave style succulent type stuff. Because honestly here, you know, we get a major dry season and these things can handle it. Whereas some of the other things like the hibiscus and stuff, it needs so much water. So these are really, really awesome for the dry season. So they don't really need a lot of water. These are some of my favorites. You'll see as we're walking around the property, they're everywhere. This was one of the first plants, honestly, that we started to bag, and you know, because it just kept proliferating so much that it was like, what the heck, man? These things are everywhere. And so now we use them to like line and make little cool pathways and borders, and I think they look really awesome. But I'll let the people, you know, decide for themselves. Again, we've got basil, we've got some peppers. By the way, these are papayas, and I kid you not, I did not plant those. The birds come and eat the other ones, and somehow the seeds fall, and then they just start growing everywhere. That one there, that one back there, this one over here, I didn't plant any of those. The birds did it for me. Just some stuff, these are a few things we're working on, just proliferating, we're clipping it and propagating it, really is probably the better way to put it. But these are some small bougainvilleas we're propagating, and these are the yellow trumpet, golden trumpets. That's what these are. You literally just clip it, put it in good soil. We use some root stimulator too, and they come back to life. These are some sunflowers we're gonna eventually get the seeds from and make more. But yeah, so this is, like I said, I didn't plant that papaya. So this was one of the pathways we made, and we're always just kind of honestly just working with stuff, just test running it, seeing what grows, seeing what doesn't, putting rocks down, and just, you know, we'll work on one space and we'll get it to the way we like it, and then we'll move on to another. And I'll talk more about that as we cruise through. But yeah, I'm sort of addicted to these Miami palms, the Christmas tree palms, so you'll see them everywhere. These are super cool. They're beautiful. And this is called an orchid tree. And so that's one of the names for it. There's a number of different names in Spanish, and I'm sure those of you watching are like, oh, I call it by a different name. But as we walk around, you'll find there's a lot of sort of religious references as well to these plants. And so, like I said, I just showed you the Christ crown without thorns. We'll see the Christ crown with thorns. There's like a Moses cane, and there's just all sorts of cool references like that. Makes it easy to remember too. So yeah, let me take you through this pathway real quick. These are different varieties of the Crotons, so they're just basically those, just different varieties, some Crotons. Of course, we got our, you know, it's not going to be a garden down here without bananas. So we've got different types. These are, I believe these are the apple bananas, which are my favorites. You can see some back there. Those might be normal sized bananas. We got plantains. Right here is a guava tree. Right, you got to have that guava. So I've already picked off all the good ones. So you can't. There's nothing to eat. But yeah, this is, you know, this is a little path that one day the guys that had a bunch of piedra cantera, which is this stuff we're walking on right here, they had a whole bunch that they didn't need. You know, they were heading back home and they hadn't sold it, so they come by and they're like, dude, you want to buy some piedra cantera? And I'm like, I don't know, man. They're like, dude, we'll give it to you super, super cheap. I'm like, all right. And so we decided to make just this cool little walkway, you know, just to have, I don't know, you know, when you're a kid, you love these sort of jungly, woodsy type things where you can run through and like tuck into little places. And, you know, especially when you have right above you some bananas growing. And, you know, it's just, I don't know, it feels like you're, you know, sneaking around. And so, yeah, so the path kind of brings you back to the entrance. These things are so cool. I planted just a few of those, and they go to town. I think these are called like the Moses cane or cane of Moses or something like that. I always forget the name, but the leaves are super smooth. They're like super soft. And then we've got apparently some ants are up there hanging out. But yeah, so that's sort of the bottom area. We've got the path there. We've got our nursery. I don't think we've gone over here. Let's check this out. This is the traveler palm. This is super cool. You know, it's small now, but they get massive, and they don't necessarily like a lot of wind. So we'll see how this guy fares through the windy season. But yeah, they span out, and they're just super beautiful. And let's see, what else do we got? Well, we got some mangoes, just not in season, and so we planted a bunch of cactus here, just kind of to see what would grow, and we would end up just chopping these off and stick it in the ground, and this is what we got. Most of them actually in the entrance is where they are, so we just kept digging them up and putting them along the entrance. This is a little row of Hibiscus Row, I guess you could call it. But one of the first things we did was we made this pathway, because you can see there's a bunch of different like spigots so we can access the water. And so we ran a tube all the way down from the top to the bottom. And, you know, essentially we made a bunch of places where you could water plants. And so you can see it goes all the way through because we wanted to be able to walk back and forth. But you just got to be careful with these because they're kind of spiky. So yeah, so this is a starfruit tree. It didn't produce that much this year, but these are super tasty. They call them here, believe it or not, melocotón, but melocotón in Spanish is actually peach, but they call them melocoton. And so while we're walking, I'll give you a funny story. So when I was buying that tree, the guy, you know, well, when I was buying some plants, he's like, dude, he's like, come check out this melocoton. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, there's no way peaches grow in Nicaragua, at least not here. And he takes me to a starfruit tree, and I'm like, man, that's fruta estrella. What are you doing? Like, but they call it melocoton here. And so I feel like at times I'm learning English words for plants, Spanish words for plants, and Nicaraguan words for those, you know, plants and fruits and all that stuff. So this is Cicada Limon, also known as lemongrass, and these are some almond trees. These are so cool for shade. You know, they're like little umbrellas. And so yeah, what we did, this was all dirt. I mean, you can see it's still dirt, but we just started planting like birds of paradise, these different types of agaves, you know, like the American agave, the different types. Of course, some aloe and more trumpet flowers. And we just, like I said, this is literally one big experiment. And so this started with a few aloes, by the way. We're just like, yeah, let's see what happens. And so, yeah, they just went to town. And so now we use it as sort of a way to, like, we'll pull the big ones up, put them in bags, and we can sell them. But again, here's all these ground plants I was talking about. More lemongrass. For those of you watching and you're wondering, like, there's a lot of lemongrass here. One, yeah, I guess I'm obsessed with it. It's good for tea and other things, but mosquitoes don't like it. And so what you'll notice here, believe it or not, is that you'll be hanging out here in the afternoon and there's really no mosquitoes because this place is, we put a force field of lemongrass. And so, yeah, so this right here where we're about to go actually was one of our first, I think it was technically the second project or sort of simultaneous with the first. So there was a tree that fell down here and we just chopped it up into little, what they called like cookies, galletas. And that was the origin of this stairway. And of course, you know, it didn't last. And so I was like, man, this is such a cool setup. We kept planting things around and I'm like, let's put bricks, but let's not use any cement. Let's keep it like super rustic. And so what you're gonna see is what we created. And so these are these bricks that we've put in to create this pathway. We've lined it with different hibiscus. We've got birds of paradise. Again, we've got these super cool plants here. And then we used they call these piñas, but in English a lot of times they're called Moses in the cradle and things like that. And so so we've lined all this, and it also kind of squeezes the bricks together. And so again, more Miami palms, more hibiscus, which we just kind of cut back. And yeah, we wanted to create this sort of, we call this the upper garden. And so we want to create this space where, you know, you could come and you could relax and have a drink and just, you know, hang out and just sort of feel like you're away from everything. And that was what we want to create up here. And one of the first things we planted up here years ago were all these hibiscus. And so as you can see, I mean, they're absolutely amazing. So we've got that. We've got some red ones there. We've got some yellow ones here. I'm surrounded by these are Plumeria. They call them here Sacuanjoche, but the Sacuanjoche is actually the Plumeria with white outside and yellow inside because it's the national flower. But a lot of times you'll just hear people sort of generically call it Sacuanjoche. But these are different types of Plumeria because they have different colored flowers. Of course, birds of paradise. You know, these are all here. And then, you know, we're standing here under this awesome Malinche tree that they call it the flamboyant. That's another name for it. But here they call it el Malinche. And so this will have these killer red and orangish flowers that'll start popping here soon. Again, you can see over there the Plumeria, the pink flower. They really have been liking this dry weather. We need some rain though. But yeah, so we've been calling this the upper garden because that's basically what it is. And then so you kind of come up, you can hang out here. Of course, you got some water, and then you've got this stairway back down. So it just sort of takes you on this loop. And we'll, if you come with me, I'll show you. I don't know. It's kind of cool to walk through these tunnels, you know. I try to cut most of it back, but I don't know, maybe that's the kid in me. It's like, you know, you go through this little tunnel. So this whole area, actually, we later found out that it was part of my property, and it was full of overgrown trees, and we cleared it all out, and we planted all these other trees, Miami palms, birds of paradise, because we wanted to create this space back here, again, because it's at the corner, you know, there's cars coming through, and we wanted to create this space that was, we wanted to at least start to make the community beautiful, right? And so we planted, on the outside, we planted little mini Malinche trees with different colors, and just to start to create something that really kick off like this idea of creating some cohesion here in the community. So we're actually gonna take these little Malinches that are out there, we're gonna plant more all the way through. So it's gonna create this, you know, more unified community. And so, yeah, so we made this killer little S, kind of an S. And that brings us to this sort of entrance space into the rancho. We call it a rancho here. And so, I mean, we can do Spanish classes, we can do yoga classes, we can do whatever we want in here. But, you know, most importantly, I guess, is it's got shade. So, but yeah, this was just a space we wanted to create as well for, of course, when we're working and it's raining, we want to be able to get in here because, believe it or not, even in the tropics, you can get sick when it's raining because it cools down. And so, somewhere safe for the rain, somewhere where, you know, folks that come that are doing bouquets and things like that, you know, they can do it out of the sun, out of the rain, and just sort of enjoy it. And like I said, it's pretty cool to do yoga here too. I did it last week or a couple weeks ago when it was kind of rainy, you know, and it was just like a light breeze and rain, and it was just so peaceful. And so, yeah, hopefully we can kick off some yoga classes. But yeah, we have, you know, we've planted cashews, and there's my favorite hibiscus. We're gonna go look at it. By the way, that is all spinach. It started with like maybe 5 little tiny spinach plants, and it just weaves itself in there. It's insane. Super cool orange zinnias. Got a little bee hard at work there getting some pollen. They're so cool. These bees, they come, they pollinate all this, and next thing you know, it's like, it's not red anymore, it's orange. I don't know what they do, but they work some super cool magic. But yeah, this is my favorite hibiscus, I think, on the whole property. This one right here, it's just so cool. It's, you know, it's just the white and then that red inside. I don't know. It's just, for me, it's one of my favorites for sure. But yeah, we like I said, we cleaned all this up, and probably not even a year ago, and just started planting all this different stuff. The property line actually went through here, so we opened all this up. These are some tomatoes. Looks like everybody came through and ate them already. But yeah, so this is, you know, sort of the back end, the highest end of the property, and we'll cut through here, and I'll show you, you know, another little trail we made. So as you can see, these are all papayas, for those of you who haven't seen those, but these are papayas. That tree is packed full of them. I kid you not, Alberto brought me these little tiny papaya trees, tiny, like this big, and they were like hanging over the bucket, and I was like, dude, there's no way those are gonna grow. And this is what they've done. So yeah, this was another little cool pathway. And I know I mentioned earlier the Bougainvillea. Here's some spikes, right? But we've just sort of weaved it in there, and we want to make a cool hedge. And especially when the flowers are popping, there's like oranges and pinks and purples, and so it's really, it's not just, you know, scary spikes. It's got cool flowers too. But again, here's our force field of lemongrass. And then these guys, you can see, like, this is a pup from this. So it like traveled underground, and apparently it was trying to run away, but it didn't get far. So, but yeah, it does that. Sometimes they'll pop up on the other side of the fence. But yeah, this is, you know, just another little space we wanted to make. It also makes like keeping the place super clean easy, right? Because there's, you know, walkways and paths. Those are gardenias. They're going to be, once they, you know, grow up and start, you know, putting flowers everywhere. They smell so good, dude. It's like jasmine, gardenia. They're just, it's perfume. And so, yeah, so that brings us all the way around back to the entrance. So that was the Lucky Shovel Nursery and property tour. So, dude, really appreciate you coming, and hope to see you soon.
Hell yeah.